What's up, y'all? This is Dr. Jewel, and I am so excited to partner with Yes Lord Radio in my new radio show, Ask Dr. Jewel. I'm a doctor of nursing, a professor, a clinician, and your go-to for all things pertaining to mental health, mental wellness, and mental illness. Look, y'all, just call me America's MHS, Mental Health Specialist. So look, you all, it's time. It's time to get your minds right with Ask Dr. Jewel. What's up, you all? How are you doing out there in Radio Land? I am so glad to be here today. And I have in the studio today, I've got Lady V.
What's up?
And I've got a new friend, Quinnell, better known as Quinn.
Hello.
It's good to see you all, man. I got a studio full, so we're going to shake it up and make it a little spicy up in here today. So you all today, you may be like, Dr. Joe, what are you going to talk about? Well, I told you I'm coming back with part 2 of emotionally immature parents. Yeah, I said it. Emotionally immature parents. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to pick up on that discussion. And you all may be saying, what? Well, you know what? If you want to listen to that episode, go to Ask Dr. Jewel on YouTube station, honey, and you'll see all the episodes that you may have missed about Ask Dr. Jewel, what we're talking about, what we're doing, how we chopping it up here. You can find it on my YouTube channel. Just subscribe, hit that, and you can get all of the information from previous shows, okay? So we're going to do part two of adult children of emotionally immature parents. Man, we shook up some things, man. We did something. We kicked up some dust with that conversation, Lady V. I mean, people came back and they were like, whoa, that's my parent. I mean, I heard so many stories about, emotionally immature parents, and that could be a strain on relationships. I mean, I heard everything from Mother's Day bloopers. I mean, things that happened during Mother's Day. I mean, things that just happened, on outings with parents. And it can be very difficult and challenging for, that relationship when you have an emotionally immature parent. So some of you may be saying, Dr. Jewel, whoa, what you talking about? You bashing parents? I'm a parent. No, honey, I will never bash parents. I am a parent, but guess what I also know? I also know that we pass on things, okay, from generation to generation. Just because you're a parent does not mean that you are mentally, emotionally, and psychologically well. You may be great in one area and there's another area that is a blind spot for you that you don't see, that you are just not emotionally mature in. That means that is a growth point. That is an area that you can develop. It's no different than muscles in your body, honey. You go to the gym, you may be like, you know what? I got great arms, but guess what? Your core is jacked. So the moral of the story is, you've got to be able to find that area that you need to work on for overall body strength and wellness, okay? It's no different than the mind. So we're going to talk about emotionally immature parents part 2, and we're going to give you some advice. If you have a parent, if you are the adult child of an emotionally immature parent, we're going to come for you. We're going to give you some tools, some things that you can do to handle this, baby, because guess what? It ain't easy out here on these streets maneuvering that their relationship, okay? So look, let's talk about it. Let's chop it up. Lady V, Quinn, you in?
We in, honey.
Let's
We
do it on
ready to do it.
Dr. Jewel. We're coming back. Stay tuned. What's up, y'all? We are back. I've got Lady V. I've got Quinn in the house. It's going to help me. They're going to help me with this subject, you all, because this is a little hairy, okay? So we're going to talk about emotionally immature parents, okay? We're going to talk about that. And so I want to kind of pick up where we left off before, all right? And if you missed the last episode, I need you to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Ask Dr. Jewel, and we have all of the episodes from the past, okay? So you can just go ahead and listen to them and get caught up, all right? But we're going to talk about emotionally immature parents. So some of you may be saying, Dr. Jewel, what you talking about? Why you hating on parents? What you doing? And so the thing is that I'm never going to hate on parents. But we want to talk about some of those things things, because we've been talking about it, y'all, after this show, we talked about it. Some of those things that hang us up with our parents, some of the things that they passed on from generation to generation that they just don't know that they're doing, but it's driving a wedge in between your relationship with your children, adult children, okay? And so, like I said, we talked about it. Mother's Day, Father's Day may be a drag. You may be like, I hate it. I'm ready for this holiday to go, because you know when you hang out with that parent, it's going to suck the pure living life out of you, okay? It's just going to be a hard thing. They're not going to like anything at dinner. They're not going to like anything at lunch. They're not going to like anything that you did. What you got them is too tight, even though it's too big. I mean, it just, you cannot, everything goes back to them, okay? And so they're very, they have a lot of attributes. And so we want to deal with it, a lot of positive attributes, but a lot of negative things that they do that sometimes they don't even realize that they're doing. So y'all, we talked about it. And so let's hammer it out. We talked about the fact that they have difficulty regulating their emotions, okay? You ever had that parent, they up and down, sideways, you don't know how you going to find them, they pop off on everything. You know, we call them drama kings, everybody ducking, dodging them because you don't know what they're going to do. All right, so the thing is that we talked about that. We also talked about those parents that lack empathy. Man, they just can't, you trying to pour out your heart to them, trying to have a serious, deep conversation, share your feelings and emotions, and baby, they don't even care. You know, the only thing that they understand is them, you all. They have a tendency to be very selfish, self-centered, self-focused. All roads lead to them. You know, we talked about the example, Lady V. We were talking about the fact, you know, you say, hey, I'm really struggling. I really feel sad in my relationship. I feel lonely. They like, honey, I've been alone for 20 years all my life. Ain't nobody been here for me. And when it's gonna be my turn? And I mean, you're like, hold up.
It's not even about you.
We were talking about me, my feelings. And so they lack the ability to be empathetic, to get in there with you, to be emotionally present with you. You know why? Oftentimes, you all, Quinn, you know, they didn't have anybody that was there for them. Right. And so as a result, they just didn't learn that behavior. So you're expecting something from them. You're expecting them to be emotionally present. And honey, they never learned how to do that or be that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then a lot of them, dependency. They're so dependent on their children. Look, your daughter is not your wife. Your son is not your husband. The moral of the story is that, you know, you shouldn't have an unhealthy dependency. So we talked about adult parents who depend on their children emotionally. Look, you sharing too much. You oversharing. You should not be talking about your relationships, all the things, you know, things that they may be younger, they may be older, but they may not be able to handle that emotionally and mentally. And so sometimes you put a weight on them and you become dependent on them, and they just don't have, I see it a lot in my adolescents. I see it a lot in my young adults, okay? Where they're saying that, you know, my mom and dad, they oversharing, honey. And because they're young and they're trying to develop their emotional intelligence, what they feel, what they think, they're trying to find their way. And then you dump loading a truck of your emotional, you know, fragility on them, you know, so it's very, very challenging, very difficult. So we talked about them. We talked about the fact that they're very poor communicators. When you try to talk to them, they shut down, they get mad, they stomp out, why we got to talk about this? And I mean, you know, they cannot handle the hard conversations. They are very manipulative, very passive aggressive. No, I'm okay. Knowing good and well, you going to go, well, mama, what's wrong? Daddy, what's wrong? And you going to keep trying to pull it out of them. And you know what they do? No, I'm okay. I'm going to be all right. Knowing that they just sucking you in, and just becomes emotionally draining, okay? And so they also have difficulty accepting responsibility. You know, you lay all this out, they may have been, look, they could have had everything to do with the chaos in the family, your emotional issues. You know, they may not have protected you. I mean, whatever it was, they will not own the truth. They blame everything, everybody, when all you need is a, I'm sorry, I messed it up. I didn't believe you. Whatever it is, all your children may need is, I'm sorry. So they are incapable of really doing that because, again, they are emotionally immature. So we were just talking about those things, and it brought up a lot of emotions. So, you know, if that is you, if you're like, that is my parent, I want you to know that that can be very, very frustrating. And what happens is that I see in counseling and therapy a lot of adult children trying to get this emotional maturity out of a parent that does not have it to give. It's like asking a parent to lift 300 pounds in the gym and they haven't even weight trained. You know, what's going to happen? They're going to drop that weight. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us are asking our parents to be emotionally available, emotionally attached. We're asking them to be able to handle their emotions, correspond with us, accept responsibility, exchange with us in a way that's optimal. And guess what? They don't have the tools nor the mental strength to do it. You know why? Because they never learned it, honey. They never learned it. Mama shut you down, so I learned to shut you down. Mama didn't deal with it. Mama went in her room, shut her door. Mama act like daddy had an attitude, just went and drank his way out of it. And you know, I mean, so many people have learned a dysfunctional way of handling things. But the adult children, I guess I want to speak to you because you're going through these holidays, you're going through it, and you're like, I don't have that relationship with my parent. And you feel bad about it because you feel like everybody else has this great relationship. First of all, number one, boom, 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 wrong, okay? Everybody does not. When you start talking about this, people are going to start coming out of the cracks and the crevices talking about their emotionally immature parents. Look, it's not to wear them out, but it's to say that, look, all of us have brokenness in our families, okay? Including our parents. Look, if you're a parent out there, just because you're a parent doesn't mean that there's not work to do. It is a never-ending process. Look, first of all, it means owning that you may not have gotten it right, okay? Right. You may not have been taught it right. You know, the things that you've been through in life, the brokenness, you know, the trauma, the situations, okay? The things that you've been through in life, you know, may have been hard and have caused you to be hard, not to be able to say, I love you, to detach. You know, there's so many things that make you and I who we are. But guess what? It's never too late to change, because what I am saying is that can create a wedge between you and the people you love most, which is your children, okay? Oftentimes. And then some people like, no, I don't like my kid. Okay, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who care in relationships, because some kids hard to love too. I ain't talking about emotionally immature children. I'm talking about parents right now, but I'm coming to you. So the moral of the story is this, you know, we've got to talk about it, you all. So I wanted to kind of, what is your feedback? Any thoughts about this show? Any thoughts about emotionally immature parents, you all? Lady B, you got anything for us? What you thinking?
You know, I'm just, you know, it is difficult. This is difficult because, again, a lot of us were raised by, you know, older parents. And so their parents did something, okay? And so now they're just basically going off of what their parents taught them. And so, again, it is a generational thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, you know, we're going to have to make generational choices. I know as a parent, as a mom, you know, I've had to do some things that I was not taught to do.
Right. That's right.
Because I know I needed it to be better for my kids, so then that they wouldn't continue to do this as they become parents. So this one is a hard one, because I think some of the parents don't even realize that they're doing it.
Absolutely. Because that's your norm. Mm-hmm. You know, being hard, that's your norm. You know, cutting people off, that's your norm. You know, if, you know, defending yourself because you've never been defended. So defending yourself, even if it's to your kids, you know, that's your norm. And so the thing is that, but when are you going to actually look at that and say, you know what? I am actually going to sit in this, take a pulse on my relationship with my children, okay? And say, you know what? The pulse is weak, baby. Okay, let's just go to medicine. The pulse is weak. The pulse is slow. The pulse is good. You know what I mean? I feel it. Oh, it's a little thready. I don't really feel it that good, okay? These are some medical terms that we use. Hey, I throw that in there too. But the thing is that do you even feel a pulse, baby? Is it a flat line on that joker? The thing is that you've got to sit back and assess, where is my relationship on a scale of 1 to 10 with my kids? Could it be that I didn't learn some things, and that mentally and emotionally I'm not very healthy in certain areas? And as a result of that lack of mental health, I am not creating the best environment for a great, thriving relationship with my children. Okay. And so we've got to sit in that and assess that. Quinn, you got anything to add to this topic? What you thinking, girl?
I'm thinking like, what do you think about like when your parent, okay, like mentally, we know that the mental aspect from how they were raised, something was wrong, something was off, right? Mm-hmm. And then they become a parent, and you as a child, you just notice that your parent is just a little different than the rest, you know. Mm-hmm. And you feel more like an adult in the situation, which is the whole reason for this podcast. But in you trying to help them, right? You know, you say like, hey, let's get counseling. Let's go see a therapist. Let's take the necessary steps to kind of like work through this. But they're not open to that. So what do you say about that? Like, how do you navigate through those types of waters? Because some people have parents where they're not on this whole, you know, therapy, mental kick and stuff like that. So for the adults who are, you know, the children, but an adult, they're dealing with the fact that, yo, mom don't want to go to counseling.
That's right.
Pops don't want to go.
That's right. That's real talk. Because we can't, we can't discredit and just, you know, say that, hey, the stigma is not there. You know, my mother was not going to go to therapy. They didn't know anything about therapy. Right. We were talking about food and shelter and clothing, baby, basic needs.
They didn't believe in therapy.
They didn't believe in it. You know, go to Lord, take it to the Lord and pray. And a lot of people still believe that. You understand? With your mentally unhealthy self. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, you can take everything to the Lord in prayer, but he also gives you therapists, teachers, and different people and that help you to grow, medicine, all the above, okay? And so the thing is that, you know, they didn't believe in that. They didn't value it because they thought that, you know, they weren't taught mental health, mental wellness, mental illness. They weren't taught that well. And so again, what you're saying, Quinn, is that you have a parent that's resisting. You have an adult child that is trying to really step into the role of the parent. And so what you're doing is that they're like, come on, let's get some help. Don't you see that this isn't healthy? And the parent is fighting the child. Yes. And so you have a lot of that, Quinn. And so the thing is that what you have to do is say, hey, you have to realize that you can't change anybody. Okay. And so I want to put this out here. You can't change your emotionally immature parent. I'm not even trying to get you to change them. What I'm trying to get you to do is understand them. Because the thing is that you walk around, adult children, I see it, walk around with this hole in their heart. They're like, why can't I have a conversation with them? Why don't they see me? Why don't they feel me? Why can't they say they love me? Why can't they own that they were wrong? Why can't they appreciate me? Why do they put all this weight on me? Why do I feel guilty if I don't do what they say? Yes. Why, I mean, all of these things. Why is it that when I'm around them, I feel like the life is sucked out of me? Like, what is this thing? Why do I feel this way? And I need you to understand and be released from the fact that you may have an emotionally immature parent. It has nothing to do with you. They don't have the tools, the emotional and mental fortitude to be able to handle hard things, hard conversations, their own feelings, let alone yours, their own issues, their own trauma, and they have concocted a whole bunch of dysfunctional ways to deal with it. And then you come along saying, love me, I want to feel valued, when they can't even find their way themselves. Value. Okay, so it is very difficult. You have to understand and stop beating yourself up. And when you go to your parent trying to extract this sense of love and belonging and understanding from them, and they don't give it to you, I need you to understand that they can't. And so, and not unless they get some help. It's no different than someone being sick and saying, you know what, I refuse the medication, so I'm just going to sit here and dwindle. Well, basically, I'm just going to, you know,
die.
That's basically, I'm just going to die.
Yeah.
Okay. And so basically, if you have a parent that is emotionally and mentally not well and they don't get help, okay, things are going to die. Relationships, okay. Oftentimes, you know, their goals, what they want to accomplish in life, sometimes relationships that they can have with people, not just you, but with other people. You know, they don't have those meaningful relationships. They end up isolated and alone and blaming everybody else when really the person is them. Okay. And so there's a lot lost. There's a lot of things that get put to death because people don't deal with emotional and mental unhealthiness. Okay. So we've got to talk about this. But what I want to say again to the adult children, you can't get blood from a beet. You're going to have to say, my parent at this time, okay, it's called radical acceptance, baby. At this time, my parent is incapable of giving me the mental and emotional whatever it is that I need at this time. They're unable to do it. I can't talk to them about these things. They're going to put it back on them because that's all they know to do because they're emotionally immature. I don't care how big an argument that I present and they are dead wrong. They cannot admit that, okay? So you need to understand that it's not always you. It's the fact that you're dealing with someone who is unhealthy. And unless they deal with it,
it's not gonna work.
All right, so welcome back. Now, Quinn, during the break, you had a question for us. I need our listeners to hear that question. Come on with it.
Yes, I have a question. So when you were listing out the symptoms of immature parents, my question was like, how many of the symptoms do they gotta have? Do they gotta have like 3 out of the 8 or
oh my goodness, that's a great question.
1 out of the 8? Will they still qualify?
Oh my goodness, see, you trying to put a mental illness on that thing. Okay, so yeah, you know, and thank you, Quinn, because that's a great question. You know, an emotionally immature parent is not in the DSM-5, so it's not a mental illness. Okay, even though mental illness can cause you to react in some of the ways that I listed. Okay, so it's not, the thing is that it's not you have to have 2 out of 3, 4 out of 5. That's the way we diagnose, you know, disease. It's not like that, but it's if you have some of these signs and symptoms. Of course, this list is not exhaustive, okay? But the thing is that these are some of the key things that we see in emotionally immature parents to different degrees, okay? And so if you have one of these things, if this is you, I'm just saying it's no different than you saying, you know what, I have to strengthen my right arm, my right biceps. I have to strengthen my legs. You know, that's an area that you need to strengthen because that weakens the body, okay? Well, this particular area that you're not emotionally mature in weakens your relationship with people that you say that you love. That means that it needs to be strengthened. So the thing is that listen to the list. If one of those is you start working on that area to strengthen it, okay? Say the person is me. I am emotionally immature in this area, and this could be driving my relationships not being as healthy as they could be. Does that make sense, Quinn?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Excellent. So you know what? I want to end the show. I want to talk about a few things. I want to give some tools, okay? Because remember, adult children, you are not responsible for your parents' emotional immaturity. I'm going to say that again. Please. You're not responsible for your parents' emotional immaturity. So what I need for you to do is to focus on taking care of yourself and building a positive and healthy life for you, regardless of their behavior. You feel me?
So what does that look like?
Okay,
a healthy example
of
what that would look like.
All right, so I need you to practice self-care. Okay, you matter. All right. Self-care is not selfish. That means that you matter. Okay. So some of the things that you can do is this can be very stressful. Dealing with an emotionally immature parent, especially if you have to deal with them. And see, I'm telling you, parents, you need to get it right, because I'm hearing some adult children saying, you know what, I'm going to unplug this relationship. Okay. I'm hearing people that haven't spoken to their parents in 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 years. Okay. I'm just saying. So, your children don't have to be in relationship with you. Okay. I just need you to understand that. So if you are, some of the things that you can do as an adult, if you have to deal with that parent, if you care, if you're trying to work through that thing, you've got to take care of yourself. Okay. So you got to realize I'm stressed. Okay. And so you have to do some things to release that stress. So please take care of yourself. Okay. Whatever you like to do. Okay. Spending time with friends or supportive family members is very, very helpful. Please, if you need to get therapy to talk about these things, or counseling to process your emotions, what has happened, what has happened throughout your life with your parent, to try to get some tools for that. Please take care of yourself. Please do some things that are a little different than you may have done in the past to try to deal with these feelings. Okay. Because that relationship matters. So it could mean that you go into a situation with a parent, and if they start on this thing, okay, if they start on, all roads lead back to me, if they start being selfish, you stop and you say, you know what, this is not a good day. Or if you've had a hard day at work, that may not be the time for you to deal with an emotionally exhausted parent or immature parent. Okay. You may need to say, you know what, I'll check in with them tomorrow. Okay. Because I am exhausted mentally and emotionally, and they gonna set me off. Okay. So again, it's taking care of yourself. Another thing, you got to set boundaries. Again, that's a part. Establishing clear boundaries with your parents, regardless, of what behavior is, you got to let them know this is acceptable. This is not acceptable behavior. Okay. And you got to communicate these boundaries assertively, but respectfully. You've got to be respectful, but you got to be assertive. Okay. Yeah. And just be prepared to reinforce them. Okay. Consistently, because setting boundaries can help protect your own emotional health and create a healthier dynamic in that relationship. Also, get support from other people. Baby, when you start talking about this, start talking to trusted friends, family, mentors, anybody who can provide emotional support and guidance. All right. Having a support system around you outside of your immediate family really can be invaluable. Okay. And helping you to cope with the challenges posed by dealing with an emotionally immature parent. I need you to practice empathy and understanding. Okay. While I know it's frustrating to deal with emotionally immature parents, I need you to try to understand that they may have their own unresolved issues. Okay. And struggles. Okay. This doesn't excuse their behavior. I'm not giving them a pass, you all, but it can help you to approach them, in a different way with empathy and compassion. When you realize that they didn't have anybody to help them, support them, when you realize that when you say something to them about this is what I need, all they see is what they're not. Okay. How they become, they kind of say, I'm less than, here again, I'm not good enough. I'm not a good parent. I failed at this. That's what they're hearing when you're telling them that you need something. Okay. So you've got to become empathetic and compassionate. All right. You've got to develop good coping tools and skills. Okay. So to manage, your difficult emotions. So fussing at them and getting into a tit for tat with them is just not the way to do it. Okay. Sometimes you got to take a deep breath, walk away, and sometimes you got to leave the house, baby. Okay. Because again, you can't continue. You'll go around and around, because if they're not mature, just because you present them with the facts and tell them everything that they do and what you're saying is perfectly right, they're unable to be self-reflective. They can't see it. Okay. So again, you've got to be able to have other outlets, and then seek professional help if necessary. Y'all, I'm going to say that again. Seek professional help if necessary. Okay. Sometimes you need someone to see your blind spots, what you're bringing to this. Okay. Because you could have two emotionally immature people, because look, if they're emotionally immature and they raised you, just follow the, follow the trail. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to share these things with you. Hopefully you got something from this, you all. Look, again, it's not your responsibility for your parents' emotional immaturity, but you can control how you you react to it, okay? So I hope you all got something from this show. You got some tools. You realize that this is a thing. It's not a mental illness, baby, but mental illness could be driving it, trauma and all kinds of things, okay? But let the specialist deal with that. The only person that you can control is you. I need you to walk in radical acceptance. Your parent is who they are right now. Doesn't mean that they can't change. Doesn't mean that you can't change, baby. But remember, the only person that you really can change is you, baby. All right, so it's time to get your minds right. Yes, Lord Radio, thank you so much for this opportunity. And you all, until we meet again, it's time. It's time to get your mind right.
Get your mind right.
With Ask Dr. Jewel. Peace.
Yeah, it's time to